saya bisa berbicara bahasa Indonesia. Yes, I can speak Indonesian, but the speech will be in English, so don't worry. Let me grab the first page. First off, let me say I'm honored to be here. It really is a privilege. When Sarah asked me to come, I was pretty surprised. I'm like, really? You want me to do what? I don't know. Are you sure? Nobody's going to want to hear me talk. So let me, at first, before I say anything, let me say thank you to Sarah for putting all this together and for organizing this. Because after you hear me talk, you're probably going to go, gosh, I wish she would have done that. We'll get the thank yous out now while we still think it was a good idea. So, but as soon as I accepted and said, yeah, I'd love to, that'd be awesome, I got a little stressed over just how do you weave an interesting, upbeat speech while not losing sight of the Aggie Muster theme of remembering the lost or fallen Aggies. So the first thing that came to mind is that I still remember my campusology from my fifth year in the Corps of Cadets in 1986. Aggie Muster, on April 21st each year on the anniversary of the Battle of San Jacinto, Aggies gather together wherever they are to commemorate fellow Aggies who have died during the year. The tradition was begun on 21 April 1903. Wow, 25 years ago I think I learned that. Still got it. That's how important Aggie Muster is to me. So I'm going to try to weave some good stories and some somber stories perhaps, but try to emphasize to you what Aggie Muster is all about for me. Let me begin by saying that I too lost a couple of Aggie buddies this year. The first Aggie friend had been with me for over 20 years. This Aggie buddy was at my wedding, my graduation, my commissioning, the birth of my children, the earning of my wings of gold. This Aggie buddy accompanied me on deployments to Africa, Turkey, and was even with me when I flew around the world in my KC-130. This friend was with me when I lived in Japan and again in Indonesia. In fact, my Aggie buddy had been to 34 of those 35 different countries you heard Sarah mention. So who's this Aggie buddy? My Aggie ring. I lost my Aggie ring this year. I feel kind of naked without my Aggie ring, and I'm a little uncomfortable up here trying to talk to you about Aggie spirit, and here I am without my Aggie ring. So what happened to my Aggie ring, you're probably wondering? It's been lost forever to the Pentagon sewer system. And there's a story behind that, Aggie. My current job, as Sarah said, is Programs and Resources at Headquarters Marine Corps. That's in the Pentagon. And let's just say I want to thank you for offering up your tax dollars to support the installation of automatic flush toilets in the Pentagon bathroom. Somehow, my Aggie ring slipped off my finger, and faster than you could say tsunami, my ring was whisked away in the bowels of the Pentagon and probably rests somewhere at the bottom of the Potomac River today. So, that was the first Aggie buddy I lost. That was the second Aggie buddy, actually. In all seriousness, I did lose a very good Aggie buddy earlier this year, a real-life Aggie buddy named Jay Kriegel, class of '89, who lost his battle with kidney cancer and passed away on 11 August last year. But when I think of Jay, I don't dwell on his difficult struggle or on his passing. Jay was an Eagle Scout and a varsity basketball player in high school. At A&M, he was the outstanding freshman for the Corps Cadets that year. He was a member of the Ross Volunteers and Deputy Corps Commander his senior year. He was selected to be as a member of the Chi Epsilon National Honor Society. Jay was tall, lanky, and always had this goofy smile. And that's how I remember Jay. I see him smiling, which is exactly how I think Jay would want us to remember him. I will answer here for Jay tonight, but I won't linger on the sadness of his passing. Instead, I will focus on the strength of his spirit, his upright morality, and his fantastic character. I will remember him as a leader, an Aggie, and a friend. I will think of the good that he had in life and the good that he gave. That, to me, is the point of Aggie Muster. We remember those fallen and mourn their loss, but we answer here to ensure their spirit lives on. In doing so, we ensure the Aggie spirit and the memories of Aggie land endure forever. So, in an effort to come up with something brilliant to say tonight, I decided not to talk about the life and times of Lieutenant Colonel Domingue and how Texas A&M helped me solve world hunger. We'll move on to something else. Instead, I just wanted to offer a few memories of my time as an undergrad at Texas A&M. Memories that include other Aggies, living or deceased, whom I recall fondly and just was thought of as I was thinking of what Muster meant to me. To help me do this, for me, I like to listen to music. And for what I did is I listened to music that I perhaps listened to while I was at Texas A&M and brought back different memories of while I was there and over the years. So in no particular order, here are a few memories that came flooding back when I put my MP3 player on random Aggie days for Lieutenant Colonel Domingue. So bear with me. Some of these songs you may know, most of them you probably won't, but it's the people and the memories that are associated with them are most important. So the first one is Cajun music, and Jolie Blonde in particular. We're from Louisiana and exported out to Texas A&M. Anytime I got homesick and missed my family in Louisiana, I put on Cajun music. Anytime I was depressed or sad, which pretty much started day one of freshman orientation week. Back when they shaved off my head, and I stood there standing in front of the mirror for a very long time, trying not to cry and thinking how I looked like a criminal. My only consolation was that my roommate, James Kirby, looked even more like a criminal than I did. James became the best man at my wedding, and is still on active duty in the Navy today. Now flash forward, so that's the first memories of James Kirby. But flash forward a few years to flight school when I received my flight suit and my helmet. And again, I stood in front of the mirror, this time with my helmet on, switching the visors back and forth from clear to dark, daytime, nighttime, daytime, nighttime. This is so cool. That reminded me of my best friend, Waylon Kane. Waylon was head yell leader our senior year. He and I were commissioned together, and our careers have paralleled one another for 20 years. We're the best friends on the planet. He went off to fly F-18s while I went off to fly C-130s. He's married and he has 4 children. Waylon's in San Diego and will retire from the Marine Corps this summer. Running with the Devil by Van Halen. It's a song. Some of you might be familiar with it. We used to hear it every day during our freshman orientation week. And anytime we went running with Company D1 or the D1 Devils, hence the song, Running with the Devils, or Running with the Devil. We used to listen to it while getting the unit psyched up prior to march ins and before the football games. When I think of that song, I remember Mike Hahn. Mike was D1 class of '88 and was a total spaz. Skinny, redhead, freckles, excitable and fun. Mike passed away of leukemia while he was in jet flight school as a Navy ensign. Came as a shock to all of us, but what I remember most about Mike was his incredible balance of all things. We used to do carrier crawls in the dorm hallways where we'd spread soapy water all the way down the hallway and see how far the fish could slide on their bellies before they got to the end of the hallway where 2 other fish had a belt stretched out to catch them before they hit the wall. Mike Hahn could slide farther down the hallway while standing on his bare feet than any of the fish could do on their stomachs. That's how I remember Mike. Pink Floyd's song, The Wall, the entire album even. My sophomore year, some of our classmates from another unit lost their stereo privileges and we had to keep their speakers in our room. Darn the luck, right? So we connected their speakers to our speakers, which was already pretty big and loud. And I remember my roommate, James Kirby, once again, playing that stereo so loud when the helicopter, there's a portion of the song where this helicopter comes flying in overhead. It literally sounded like it was outside of our window. People were actually coming out of the dorm and looking to find the real thing. It was that loud. We were kind of bummed when our buddies got their stereo privileges back and we had to give the speakers back up. Milli Vanilli, Blame It on the Rain. There's an obscure one for you. My senior year in dorm 12 on the quad, I had a 4th floor corner room that had a direct view of Aggie bonfire when it was still out on Duncan Field. My roommate at that time was Mike Potter, and he and I threw one hell of a party that night on bonfire night. I remember Deanne Bullard and her friends, her roommates came over. We started the party there, went over to bonfire, actually didn't stay till it fell because it stayed up for over 2 hours, I think, that year. It was a good year. Went back to the dorm and continued the party there while we watched the bonfire fall from that 4th floor corner window. It was fantastic. Mike is living in Houston now. He's married with 2 kids and doing great. Deanne is married and we just got reconnected on Facebook after 20 years without contact. Christian rock, the whole genre. I was introduced to Christian rock the summer I went off to officer candidate school. Alan James was my roommate that summer. The music ended up proving pretty helpful as I did a fair bit of praying while I was off at officer candidate school trying to work my way through all that. I remember Alan because that's where I was when I was first introduced to the music. Alan married his college sweetheart Lee, another Aggie class of '90. He's a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps Reserves and works for Stryker Instruments in Round Rock, Texas. Dobie Gray, Drift Away. Whenever I needed to escape or was missing my fiancée Beth, who was in Louisiana also going to college, I'd listen to music like Dobie Gray and Drift Away. I distinctly remember sitting at my desk my senior year, listening to this song and looking out the window at Bonfire Stack, thinking about how much I wanted to be on stack and not studying. Mike Potter was a good roommate, and he helped me make the right decision. We went out and worked on Bonfire Stack. Steelheart, Never Let You Go. Big hair 80s rock band, very loud. The summer of 1990, I was a fifth-year senior, and it took me 5 years to graduate. I was on the 5-year plan. And that summer, I was working part-time, not working, but volunteering part-time as a DJ for the Texas A&M radio station, which at that time was on cable only. So I was Ronnie D, and this is 99.9 FM cable. You're tuned to the alternative for Bryan College Station, which was a lot of fun. Melissa, Allison, and I were supposed to DJ together, but we got the midnight to 3 a.m. shift, and Melissa wasn't up for that, trying to study and graduate. So I did it on my own. It was a lot of fun, but I'm pretty sure no one was listening, because like I said, it was 99.9 FM cable. That means you had to take your cable television and plug it into your radio, which nobody did. So, but it was fun. Melissa now is married to a fellow KC-130 pilot, and they're living in Fort Worth. We share Christmas cards every year. Garth Brooks, Friends in Low Places. I bet most of you know that. The summer of 1990, same summer, when I got married, Beth and I heard that song every 25 minutes on the drive to Florida for our honeymoon. It was played over and over and over. So the song reminds me of our wedding, of course. But I was still a Texas A&M student then, and it brings back fond memories of my D1 buddies. All of them, plus a few others, came to the wedding, which was in New Orleans. And they all went to the bachelor party the night before, which was in New Orleans. And that's all I'll say about that. Lastly, any song from the group REM. I played recreational soccer at Texas A&M on at least 2 teams every year, sometimes indoor, sometimes outdoor. One night, we had an indoor soccer game. At the same time, REM was performing a concert in G. Raleigh White Coliseum. The back wall of the Coliseum, if you recall, serves as the back wall of the stage. Well, that wall also served as the side wall for our indoor soccer arena. So the entire game that we were playing indoor soccer, REM was just a cinder block away, cranking out their music for the whole game. It was fantastic. It rocked. We lost the game, but it didn't matter. It sounded so cool. So it doesn't remind me of anyone in particular, but it was really cool. So. All right, so I could go on and on with all the different memories, but those are just some of the memories, some of the people that jumped to mind when I started thinking about what is it about Texas A&M and Aggie Muster and the memories that we want to bring forward. The bond that we Aggies share is special. It runs deep. Unless you're part of the family, you'll probably never be able to appreciate it. Full disclosure, though, I first went to Texas A&M because I wanted to take advantage of the ROTC scholarship, go to a good school, and I was adamant that I was not going to be brainwashed into this whole Aggie thing. That determination lasted all of about 2 weeks. Week 1 was fish camp, where I learned the yells and the songs and met other timid Aggie freshmen, all the while running around going, "Yay!" I said, yeah, I'm really not getting into that. That's just silly. So, but week 2 was freshman orientation week, and listening to Running with the Devil and getting motivated. They shaved my head, taught me to march, spit behind my shoes, and after that my life was not my own, and it wasn't very long before I gave in. And any dream of remaining aloof from the Aggie way was completely gone. They say you either convert or you go home at Texas A&M, and I converted, and thank God that I did. My Aggie spirit, again, like I said, it runs deep, and I treasure the friendships that have grown out of my time at Aggie Land. Last summer, one of my fish buddies, Patrick Tansey, retired from the Marine Corps after 20 years of service. A few buddies and I went to the retirement ceremony and the ensuing party at his house. Being buddies, we of course had to play a practical joke. This particular prank involved a non-running Carnegie sports car, Christmas lights in July, a children's parade, and pretty much everyone who ever knew Patrick. Suffice it to say that my buddy received a letter of complaint from the Homeowners Association and was given 30 days to remove the car. Among my buddies, we call that a win. My son, Oren, was just weeks away from entering college at Savannah College of Art and Design in Georgia, and he helped us with the setup and the execution to do this pull-out, as we used to call it in the Corps Cadets. He was absolutely in awe of the friendship and the love that we had for one another. And after that night, Oren commented, "Man, Dad, I hope I have friends like you did in college." I'm pretty sure he was sincere and not speaking sarcastically about the way we demonstrate our friendship. So I answered him sincerely that I hope you do too. And I meant it. But what I didn't say is, in order to have friends like mine, you've got to be an Aggie. For me, Muster is the strongest reminder of friends and Aggie buddies that I have, whether they are still with us or whether they've already moved on. Meanwhile, I'm always eager to meet new Aggie friends, either here tonight. I look forward to meeting all of you, whether it's in the workplace, or whether it's next month when the postman comes to bring back my Aggie buddy, my Aggie ring. On that issue, I look forward to sharing a whole new group of life experiences with my Aggie buddy, my new Aggie ring. If nothing else, I'll get my first new memory. I've already got my first new memory, and that's how much it costs to buy a new Aggie ring. Tried $1,600 for a replacement Aggie ring. So for you Aggie moms out there that were upset because your daughter lost her smartphone and you had to buy a new one, well, you got nothing on me. I just hope my Aggie buddy appreciates what it does cost. That's a lot of beer at the Dixie Chicken. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me tonight, and I'm honored to be here and share Aggie Muster with this group. Thank you again.